Hi, for today's video we're going to be making what I'm calling a sunset jar. That's a jar which is coloured with tissue paper on the outside and has a candle on the inside so that it glows like the setting sun. And we're going to use the magic of silhouettes on that jar to create a little scene. So let's get going. So here is my finished sunset jar. I'm just turning it so you can see all the stripes and the flickering of the light inside. It looks really nice at night time, so you might have to wait till the end of the day to see what your sunset jar looks like. But here's a sneaky peek, and now I'm going to show you how to make it. So I've got all the things I need for making my sunset jar, and I've collected up some colours of tissue paper because I'm going to start with the sunset at the bottom orange and I'm going to fade up to a sort of pinky colour. I've got some violet, some pink, some orange, and if you haven't got any tissue paper, I'm going to give you some alternatives, okay? So I've searched around and I found this really nice bit of orange packaging that was on my crumpets, and I've also got some kitchen roll. And what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you a technique for painting kitchen roll. And if you let it dry and if you're quite gentle with it, you'll find that it's quite a good alternative to having colours of tissue paper. So just going to take a little bit of water. I'm not going to make it too soggy, and I'm just going to paint a few stripes of yellow. And where's my water? A few stripes of red. See how it's not that good? That's making a nice orange, and then if I go a bit redder there. So not too soggy or you'll end up with a mess, won't you? But I bet I could even make a little bit of purple if I wanted to. A little bit of blue, a little bit of red, very dirty old white. And then I've got a little bit of, well, that's rather a grey, isn't it? But I'll make it a little bit more purple. There's a bit more purple. Now I could let these dry and they would work well. But you'd have to put them on quite carefully. Let them dry quite carefully. And then when you put the glue on, also be quite careful. But that's an alternative to having tissue paper. I'm going to use tissue paper because that's what I've got today. And I'm going to use my bit of Warburton's there as well. So first thing I'm going to do is to take some orange tissue paper. And I'm going to cut a strip to go around the bottom. And I might even make a circle that looks a bit like a sun. So I'm going to put a bit of glue on, just a little bit. I've got white glue, could just as easily use a Pritt stick. Putting a bit of glue on. I'm going to show you how I fix it on to the jar. Here's the jar, and I'm just going to lay this around. Okay, so that's, can you see that? Just laying that around. And it looks dark now because it's wet underneath, but it should dry up nicely. Now I've got a bit of yellow kitchen roll, the thing that I made earlier, so I'm going to cut a piece of that as well. So I think that would be nice. And think about some real sunsets. Maybe think about some real sunsets that you've seen, or you might even have a nice memory of a sunset or a nice photograph of a sunset. I'm just going to glue that bit of yellow as well. There you go. My brush was a bit dirty, that's some sloppy habits there. And I'm going to glue that around like that. That's my yellowy one. Maybe I need a little bit more on that one actually. And then I'm going to show you how to make the silhouettes. The silhouettes are the shapes against the light, so they'll be quite dark, and you'll need some black paper for that. And if you haven't got black paper, well, you could always colour it in with felt pen until it was black. So that's some nice stripes there. And then I'd probably carry on by making it a little bit purpley up above. But I think it would be a good idea if I showed you how to make some of the shapes. Now, I just made up a little trick for making a mini tower block, and it's kind of cheating to have the sunset colours in the windows, but I don't think anyone will notice, and I think we can pretend that they're the lit up windows. So what I've done is I've folded my piece of paper, and then I'm going to cut along the fold half of a window, and then it's like that. And if I fold it again the other way, like that, and then I cut, I can get another little window. I like it that they're kind of cartoony, and then I put that on there, you see? So here's my jar. I put the purple layer on, and as you can see, I finished off my tower block. I put a few more windows in. I'm just going to carefully paint glue along the back of it, and this, you might have to press a bit to make it stick. This paper is quite thick actually. It'd be better if it was a bit thinner. And I'm just going to press my little building onto my jar like that, okay? Now I'm doing this on the outside because if it was on the inside and I used a little candle, the little candle might catch the tissue paper and burn it, and that would be a shame. I'm just going to trim that because it doesn't fit over the thing. So there's my little tower block, and maybe I'll make a tree as well. I'll just do that by just first of all making this sort of shovel shape, and then I'm just cutting some branches into it and trying to make them a bit feathery and interesting. Cut, 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 cut. Does that look nice? Maybe. I'll just cut some of them a bit lower. How's that? Kind of looks like a hand. If I just cut a piece out the side. It's a bit trial and error this, isn't it? Okay, that looks a bit more interesting, and I'll maybe make this one thinner. And let's just try that against the jar, see how it looks. If I put that there. It's good to have gaps in between so that your light can shine through. So I think I'm going to have to cut out one of those branches there. And I could always glue that on the side. So I'm going to take my glue brush and very quickly glue that down so that you can see how it looks. So I'm going to glue that down. If you wanted to, you could do the silhouette of a person or of a dog in the night. And you could be, I'm imagining, if you're very skillful, you could be very, very precise and make some very beautiful little things. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the effect of the black against the colours, and I'll show you why in a minute, because we're going to put candle inside here. So there is my jar, and I'm going to show you what it looks like with a candle inside it. So here are the finished jars. This is the one I just made just now. It's a bit simpler, and this is the one I made before I started as a practice. It's a little bit more complicated. The last phase is to get a little tea light and pop it inside and very carefully light it. And you could get a grown-up to help you with that if it makes you nervous, and always be very careful with a naked flame, needless to say. I don't need to tell you that, you're not an idiot. So those are the finished products, and you could make a cityscape, you could make a landscape of lonely trees on a hillside. You could just use your imagination and try and make it as interesting as you can. I think it's going to be a very interesting project for you.